My name is Robin Lewis, and this is the very humble 1x2 or 19 by 42 millimeter pine board. It's a staple in every big box store in the timber department, and while it's often overlooked as junk wood, it can be turned into some pretty rad things. In this video, I'll show you how to take a few of these cheap boards and, with a little woodworking knowledge, turn them into a very cool piece of kitchenware. In this video, we're going to be making a chopping board out of some of these 1x2s, and when we glue it up, we're going to keep them on their side, so we end up with a nice, solid, thick, chunky chopping board. In terms of tools, we're going to need an orbital sander, a jigsaw, a handsaw, and of course, some of the 1x2s. You're also going to need some clamps, some wood glue with a damp rag, a roll of sandpaper similar to this so you can cut pieces off like that, a speed square, and a rasp, one that has a curved side as well as a flat side. I want this chopping board to have a short handle and a curve coming up to that handle. So that means I'm going to need two boards at 500 millimeters long, another two boards at 400 millimeters long, and then another 6 boards at 300 millimeters long. All the boards have been cut to length, so now we can just do a mock setup. That's the shape that we're going to create. Now I can start putting everything together. It's been 24 hours, this glue is now fully set up and dried, so I can start taking these clamps off. What I want to do now is create the shape of this. You may notice these two extra pieces here. I've got that there so that I can create a curve running from this side up to the handle. So what I'm going to do is take these various shapes and start drawing the final shape that I want. The most important rule whenever you're cutting with a jigsaw is to go slow and steady. Let the blade do the cutting, because if you start pushing it, what's going to happen is that very thin blade is going to start to wander. So take your time, slowly ease the blade through the cut and let the blade do the work. Next, I'm going to use the rasp to round off those corners because they're most likely going to be a little bit jagged after using the jigsaw. The rasp is also a good way to adjust those corners and those curves and get them nice and smooth and flowing. So have a bit of fun with this. This is where you can really inject some creativity into the build. Now that all the jagged edges have been eased over and the corners have been nicely rounded, the next thing is to bring in the orbital sander, and now we're going to smooth this entire piece down. You may also need to do a bit of hand sanding, and this is where a roll of sandpaper comes in. A piece of sandpaper in the hand using your thumb is the best way to go about getting these inside curves smooth. I've got the board sanded up to 120 grit, so the next step is going to be to add the food safe oil to the timber. Adding an oil is really simple because all you need to do is flood the surface, wait about an hour or two, come back, wipe off the excess, leave that for about a day to dry, and then repeat.